have you guys started raising money?
Oh,
Are you
yes, I'm sorry.
fully funded?
Yes. So we are funded by 2 international investment firms, one based in London, one based in the New York area. So it's completely privately funded right now. We still have, I think I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10, 20 million in the bank. But obviously, we know that it's a longer run to when we actually go and start monetizing the platform. Obviously, the first aspects of revenue generation won't come until April. And then where it really takes off is this summer. But our backers know that there's a lot of money, quite frankly, to be made in this space. But you have to spend a lot of money to get there.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. Yeah. And here's the thing too, is we talk about kind of the pure dollar challenges. Just being a competitor platform, the way that the bar is raised extra high just on attracting engineers, attracting talent, because everyone is so concerned about getting blacklisted by Google or Facebook. What would happen if big tech saw that I worked with a challenger? Would this, stop me from getting jobs or going to the cool parties
what a great point.
Menlo
Put on
Park.
a resume, 9 months at GETTR. What were you doing at GETTR? 2.5 years at GETTR, 2.5 years at Rumble. I can see that. Blacklisted permanently to work in that industry.
Is that a challenge for the engineers that you're hiring? Or
I'll tell you on this. It was at the beginning. It's less so now. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, we hired someone who had competing offers from Google and from us, and they turned down Google and they came with us. And I was like, holy, you know what? I'm like, really? Like, you're turning down Google to come with us? And the person said, look, I've been impressed. I was a little skeptical when you guys launched. I thought it might be like the other platforms and immediately got kicked off or got banned. I've seen what you guys have done, and I'm just so sick of the discrimination. He goes, I'm not even a Republican. I'm an independent. But the fact that if independent in California basically means that you're a Republican, but you're afraid to have your registration be that, which I can't blame him. And he goes, just everybody knows, like, oh, you're one of them. And he goes, I'm just so sick of that discrimination, that behavior. I want to go to a place where at least, look, he's not going to be some card-carrying Republican, but at least he feels free.
So for YouTube's alternative is Rumble. Every time YouTube screws up, Rumble does well, Chris does well, and they get users. So Twitter's alternative used to be Parler, right? Parler was the alternative to Twitter. Is that what was Parler more a alternative to Facebook?
No, I think it was. I think obviously let them describe themselves, but probably more of a competitor to Twitter.
To Twitter, okay.
And I would say that where we started is you just pulled up on the screen our timeline, our scroll. I would say initially most closely a marketplace competitor to Twitter.
Very clean, by the way.
It's very clean. Our engineers are good. I when I first came on board, I launched it, but there were engineers working on it before I came on board. The guy who started this, he's now like in his the lead engineer. He's now in his mid-50s, went to USC undergrad, USC grad school, worked for all the big companies like McDonnell Douglas and Oracle. And the brain on this guy is so great. And our CTO that we have in place now, the guy has 5 degrees from MIT. And when he said that in the interview, I was like, okay, this guy's lying. Go run a background check. No, who has 5 degrees from MIT? And he's like, yeah, I think like school stuff is fun and I can do it in the evenings and weekends. I'm like, what's wrong with it? Like, this guy's brain is so big. Our deputy CTO went to Tsinghua, which is like the Harvard plus Yale plus Stanford of China. He's now here living in the U.S. and will be permanently living here in the U.S. The brains on these guys are so big. I mean, I'm just the pretty face, but these guys are. That was a joke for anyone who's not seen.
No,
the
I
video.
like that. I like the way you did it.
I'm definitely not the pretty face.
I like the way you did that.
I have the voice for radio if whenever had it, but it's a clean look. These guys are so smart because, again, the two things that I said right at the beginning, I want this to be a global company that can scale. It has to look as good, if not better, than anything big tech is putting out. Otherwise, people are going to walk up and say, Twitter might be a bunch of you-know-whats, but their functionality is better.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.